Okay, people. So it's still January 18th, 2018. I just want to... Oh, that didn't work. I just want to go over... I just want to go over... I know. There we go. That's a little better. Some of this paperwork with Uncle John. On the internet, on YouTube, they call it receipts. That's what they call it. Do you see, people? They call it receipts. I'm producing receipts so that, you know, nobody can say that I'm concocting some... I'm covering up the lawyer firm. Right? This is without prejudice sent to me by them. September 25th of 2017 and January 25th of 2018. First we'll read, because what I'm going to do here, people, is I'm going to read Uncle John's official will. Now that he's dead, people, and since these Justice Bowden, the last time I was in court on December 7th, threw everything out, even though he acknowledged that more than likely I have legal enduring power of attorney. Because he looked at this. Right? I already showed you this one. This is from the bank, people. It was signed on October 30th of 1990. Sat there for 25 years uninterrupted until this little one signature note came in. Do you see it? Revoking me as John's on the ferry, sleeping in a hammock under sedation of drugs. After she's then on the phone, well, she wrote that on the 20th, scooped him up on the 23rd, and then while on the ferry, as he was in the van, in the dark, at the bottom of the hull in the ferry, she was on the phone with her husband impersonating John, hacking into his credit card. And that was after she did the mail transfer. Do you see that, people? This is the mail transfer. This is how I know they illegally transferred his mail. Look at the date on that, people. And this is how she sent me, "You're no longer a power of attorney," with her one signature note that is irrelevant in a court of law, to which these masters and these judges are ignoring, as Fraser Health Authority and their lawyer are running around like dragons out of hell, threatening me with $30,000 fee fines, hoping that that's going to be enough to give me a heart attack and drop dead, so that they don't have to be held accountable for what they've done to Uncle John and his immediate family. Anyway, I'll get to reading John's will in a minute, but before I do that, I want to read what this lawyer has been sending me. This one's September 25th, 2017. We are in receipt of your... I have to read like this, people, because I'm going blind, remember? We are in receipt of your amended notice of civil claim. Although the statement of facts has been condensed to approximately 20 pages, there are nearly 60 additional pages of Part 2 and 3 of your notice of civil claim which have not been amended. At the case planning conference on August 15th, 2017, Master Taylor, now listen to this one, people. Master Taylor directed that your entire amended notice of civil claim was to be no more than 15 to 20 pages, not just the statement of facts. You are in violation of a direction of the court. Okay, so the reason I didn't amend the last two sections, people, is because I didn't know how to write them. I'm dealing with the Criminal Code of Canada. I'm also dealing with, I don't know how to ask for things, so I didn't know how to write them. So I just basically left them as is, and in that 20-page, whatever I was ordered to do, I'm getting to the point here in a minute, people, just to show you how crooked these people really are. I put there, for the court to show leniency, right, with the fact that I'm not well, right, to help to solve this issue with the court's experience. These people work with this stuff all the time. They're not stupid people. And I asked for leniency, right, in terms of those sections, because I didn't know how to amend them. Plus, I'm not well, right? Okay, so now we're in Justice Bowden's court on December 7th. And this Justice Bowden, he asked the lawyer, right? He gave the lawyer lots of time to talk. He told me I only had 5 minutes left. Besides that point, he asked the lawyer if what Master Taylor asked me was legitimate in terms of, was it an official request? And you know what the lawyer said? Oh, no, it was a private thing. It was private. In other words, don't take it serious. It didn't mean anything. That's what the lawyer told the judge after the judge asked him, was it legitimate? But yet, at the same time, it just states it right here. You are in violation of a direction of the court. Well, which one was it? Was it a direction of the court that I write the 20 pages? I did the 20 pages. I did the best that I could. And I asked for leniency at the very tail end for those last two sections because I didn't know how to write all those things under the Criminal Code of Canada that relate directly to what happened to Uncle John. This is mail fraud, people. It falls under the Criminal Code of Canada. This is an illegitimate. It is not a legal document, people. There is nothing legal about this. And Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce, they know it. The judge, Bowden, knows it. Master Taylor knows it. These lawyers between whoever, this freaking Andrew knows it. They all know it, people. Anyway, mindfuckery, right? He sat up there, he told the judge a direct lie. Oh no, Master Bowden, it was just a private thing that he wanted her to do. It means nothing. Oh, well in that case, being that it means nothing, then what's going to happen is Judge Bowden ignored this because the lawyer said, this is what I'm up against, people, and I'm not going to let him get away with it. I'm not. This is what Judge Bowden ignored. A legal document that's been standing for 25 years uninterrupted until a corrupt nurse wanted her bone, wanted her money. And the union gave it to her while the union uses taxpayers' dollars to protect the crimes that were committed against Uncle John and his immediate family. As the lawyer lies. You can't have it both ways. It was either a legitimate fucking request from this Master Taylor, or it was a private thing. Which one, Andrew? Only at your convenience that it wasn't legitimate, right? So the judge ignored this and threw it out. based on what Master Taylor asked was illegitimate. It didn't mean anything. In addition, the Notice of Civil Claim as amended still discloses no reasonable claim. That's bullshit. I'll read that to you. Not today. I'll read it to you another day. The allegations you raised against our client, Fraser Health Authority, are in relation to care and treatment received by Mr. Duncan. Generally, a hospital owes a duty of care to its patients, not to a patient's friends or relative. Right, that's why they fed John to the relatives, to the long-lost relatives that lived out in the fucking hillbilly country, right, that, you know, roamed the halls, terrorizing innocent lives and innocent old people and innocent families, just so they can live out in the fucking lake there and, you know, think that they're all that in a bag of chips because they work for the government, right? I mean, let's face it, John's dead. He didn't even last 3 years in their care. Right? By July, he had been injured. By July, they freaking hauled him out of there, February 23rd of 2015. And by July, he was like, I have no memory. I've been hurt. I've been sick for months, you know. Oh, and then the phone was taken away from him because they didn't want him talking. Just like I go in front of Master Bowden. Next thing you know it, John's dead. December 7th. Is he alive? I don't know. Oh, well, we're going to toss it out anyway. Right? Good luck. Good luck catching up to the truth. Because we're going to bury it, Judy. We're going to sit up there and say, you are in violation of direction of the court. But that's only when it's convenient for them. If that was the case, why didn't Andrew say, yes, Master Taylor asked for her to do that so that they would take it freaking serious? No, instead, John died. He just simply died as they were transporting him from Mount Tommy Hospital to the Royal Jubilee Hospital in a hammock. How many times was John transferred in a hammock in the last 3 years? 20 times? 20 times, people? Was he transferred in a freaking hammock? Probably 10 at least. We believe there is no basis of fact or law for your claim against the health authority. Accordingly, we have instructions to bring an application to strike your claim. Here's the big fucking threat. Go after the weakest of the weak. Throw the poor out onto the streets, right? Make it so that they don't get quality health care, right? Scare the pants off them. If they're not fucking harassing them in the freaking hospitals, accusing them of shit like they did with me, they're doing it in the courthouse. And if they're not doing that, now they're doing it, if we are forced to bring this application, we will be seeking a cost awarded against you. If, however, you agree to drop this action before we bring this application, our client, your client, Fraser Health Authority, is willing to waive the costs as it has occurred to date in defending this claim. Why? Why would they, if they're so confident that they did nothing wrong, why would they waive it? Too many contradictions in one fucking piece of paper. Therefore, in full and final settlement of this claim. Now, there was no settlement, and there's nothing being settled in full. It hasn't even gone to court, even though it's gone to a fucking kangaroo court with a mock trial, where I've been accused of abusing Uncle John sexually through their case files. Case law. As the lawyer is lying to Justin Bowden about Master Taylor's request. Because I'm sure if he would have said, oh yeah, Master Taylor wanted that because it's a legitimate freaking blah, 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 then the Judge Bowden, couldn't have ignored this, people. He couldn't have ignored it, but instead he ignored it. We are instructed to offer you a waiver of costs in exchange for your agreement to sign a consent order dismissing this action and a release stating that you will not bring further claims against Fraser Health Authority in relation to this matter. As a matter of fact, now that John's died, I'm actually thinking about starting another lawsuit, people. And here's January 25th, 2018. We are in receipt of documents you believed... I'm sorry. We are in receipt of documents you delivered to our office on January 19, 2018, including a notice of appeal, notice of motion, and an affidavit in support of your no-fee application. It is our position that you are outside of the time to file and serve your appeal. Section 14 of the Court Appeal Act states, in part, the time limit for bringing an appeal or an application for leave to appeal is 30 days commencing on the day after the order of appeal from its pronounced. I filed it, people. An appeal or application for leave to appeal is brought by filing a notice of appeal or notice of an application for leave to appeal in a registry, and by serving a copy of the notice on every respondent unless a justice orders that the service on a respondent may be dispensed with. The order of Justin Bowden was made December 7th. By our calculations, in order to appropriately bring an appeal, the above rule required you to file and serve the notice of appeal by January 8th, 2018. We were not served with the notice of appeal until January 19th, 2018. Yeah, because he was gone. He didn't come back until January 15th, people. He was out of town on holidays. Right? Deception. If you intend to pursue this appeal, we will require you to obtain an order granting you an extension of time to bring your appeal. We will oppose any such application. We also intend to oppose your no-fee application, of course, because it's an attack on the poor. Right? Doesn't matter whether you have legitimate documents. They don't acknowledge it, people. They don't. Because they have all the resources, right? They have the colluded group of criminals that stick together like dirty shirts hanging off a freaking clothesline, right? They can commit federal crimes against the Criminal Code of Canada, and they can get away with it. Nothing stops them, not even the court. The court doesn't even hold them accountable, right? They can fake documents within these kind simply just by writing up something simple like that, and then take it into the banking system, and further take it into the banking system where they can continue on with their forgery, and then they start tweaking the files on the inside, right? For them, maybe Uncle John is dead, not for us. We also intend to oppose your no-fee application, which you have reset for February 28, 2018. We will file and serve our response materials to that application in due course. I guess I should check my email. We are not your lawyer and do not represent or protect your rights or interests in any way. Exactly. They don't protect Uncle John's rights. They have never protected Uncle John's rights. I am Uncle John's true and legitimate representative. I have been his representative for over 25 years. Something that Justice Bowden and Master Taylor has failed to acknowledge. Especially Justin Bowden. Because he was playing lip service to a corrupt corporation and their lawyer. Okay, now we're going to get on to Uncle John's will. This is a legitimate document. It was signed on December 25th. I didn't read it before because he was alive, but now that he's dead, I'm sure that they forged and manufactured another one under false pretense that falls under the Criminal Code of Canada, which is listed in my Notice of Civil Claim, both for Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce and Fraser Health Authority. As you can see, this is the original. Do you see? Iqbal Ball. Landlord. And I don't know how to say her name. I knew her as Pam Ball. She was our landlady back in the day. in 1998. We moved into their house in 94, in December of 94, and John wanted a will. So by 98, he had a will written up, and it was signed December 25th of 98 when our landlords invited us over to their house for a Christmas drink and some dinner. And they signed it as witnesses. And this is his one and only will that I still have. Right along with this, people, which is still a legitimate document and has not been removed from me in a court of law of any sort. This is the last will and testament of me, Bernard John Duncan, also known as John Duncan, also known as John Duncan, of the city of North Delta in the province of British Columbia. 1. I hereby revoke all wills and testamentaries, dispositions of every nature or kind whatsoever heretofore made by me, and declare this only to be and contain my last will and testament. 2. I appoint Judy Chorney to be the executrix of this my will. If she predeceases me, in other words, if I die, I appoint Jim Gerard of the city of Victoria in the province of British Columbia to be my executor of this my will. Jim Gerard was his friend in Victoria. He was a dentist. 3. I direct my executrix to pay out of the capital of my estate my just debts, funeral, crematory, and testamentary expenses, testamentary expenses, and all income taxes, estate inheritance, and any succession duties or taxes wherever so payable. I direct 4. I direct my remains to be cremated. He wanted to be cremated, people. He didn't want to be buried next to Joan. I bet you that's what they did. They probably buried him next to Joan because Joan probably bought him a burial and made sure that his ass was put next to her and her mother. I doubt they cremated him. But this is what he wanted. He told Joan to have Debbie be there instead of him, that he didn't want to be buried. I direct my remains to be cremated. There is only to be a memorial service. Donations instead of flowers are to go to the Kidney Foundation in the honors of my father, Bernard Joe Duncan. I give the following legacies. A. If my wife survives me for 30 days, I give, devise, and bequeath the residue of my real and personal articles, such as watch, clothes, personal belongings, whatsoever and wheresoever situated. Also, I leave my wife with the knowledge that Judy Chorney and her children will be there to look after my wife in old age. Isn't that interesting? Joan moved into the house, people. I looked after Joan for 5 years. 4 of those years in the house, which drove my family crazy. But I did it now, didn't I? When she didn't want to go into an old folks' home and be left abandoned by those people in Victoria who didn't give a jack shit about her, to the point when she moved over here, moved in with us, they never even once came over and spent 5 minutes with her at any time in that 5-year period. But if you notice, they're sure running around spending their money like it's hog wild. Kidnapped John and took his money like it's hog wild. But Joan always had a caretaker in me. And in the end, I followed through on the will now, didn't I? I looked after Joan. And so did my kids. And John was there for her too. Also, I leave my wife with the knowledge that Judy Chorney and her children will be there to look after my wife in old age. B. All cash legacies are to be distributed in this manner. 1. Cash legacies from superannuation, my retirement pension. Now you have to remember, this was written in 1998. His superannuation life insurance policy faded out in what do you call it, when he turned 65. I don't know. They took him when he was 75, so it was 10 years prior to him going missing that his superannuation became null and void by the time he turned 65 years old. But because this was written in 98, there was still a superannuation, so that's why it's listed here. But if he would have died before he disappeared, none of that would have meant anything, because there is no superannuation unless, of course, they started forging documents and phoned up the federal agency in Toronto or wherever and just started, who knows? I mean, these people are capable of anything. I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't put it past them that they didn't try to forge something. Seriously. Cash legacies from my superannuation, my retirement pension, is to be used in the event of my death for all expenses for memorial services, except taxes and all debts. Also to pay the following cash legacies, which is to be the sum of $1,000. $1,000 as soon as my death, as predicted, to my adopted daughter, Debbie J. Duncan. Any monies remaining shall be used by my wife and Judy Chorney to relocate if they need to do so. It is then up to my wife and Judy Chorney as how to do all or any remaining monies is to be spent. Did you hear that, people? Cash legacy, this is 2. Under the group life insurance plan from British Columbia Building Corporation, which is non-existence, because when the BC Liberal government came into power, just as John's superannuation life insurance policy went out the door when he turned 65, and he stopped paying into it. That's how it stopped. He just stopped paying into the policy itself, so it just disappeared by the time he turned 65, because the cutoff was 65. You either continued paying for yourself, or if you didn't pay, there was no more policy. So he just stopped paying because he knew what his family was like, and he didn't want them to do what they did to him, people. That's why he stopped paying into it. As for the group life insurance plan, well, when the BC Liberal government came into power by the year 2002, 2003, around that time, they came in with these buyout packages, and they targeted a specific group. Joan was targeted, John was targeted. All these employees from the past were expected to take, this package, that package, this package, and that package. John chose a package that, as he aged, his yearly income would increase, but once he died, that was it. There was nothing left. There were going to be no more payments from this particular group life insurance plan, because that's the type of plan that he chose. Again, because of what he knew his family would do. To which they did. Only they didn't get as rich as they thought they did, except from stealing maybe what Joan left them. 2. Cash legacy. Under the group life insurance plan from British Columbia Building Corporation, in the event of my death before age 65, I leave all monies from this insurance policy to my stepdaughter, Judy L. Chorney, and her children. This is for the business we have always wanted to start. Good luck, Judy. I know you can do it. All the children's trust funds are to continue as is. As this is my gift to Brooke Chorney, Sierra Chorney, Marcaine Chorney, Shamae Chorney, and Tisha Chorney. God bless you all. Any monies, cash, in my personal bank accounts is to go to Judy Chorney. This cash is on hand to be used for anything that is required or needed for her and my wife, such as rent and bills, soon after the event of my death. But I just want to remind you people, I have this here. Just hold on. Where is it? I just kind of made a whole bunch of mess in here with a bunch of papers. Where did I put it? Joan's annual income in 2011 was $24,000 a year. That was Joan's annual income. It's here somewhere. I just scattered a whole bunch of papers around, that's why. Right? Now I can't find what I was looking for. 2009, her annual income was something like $22,000 a year. She was hovering between $22,000 and $24,000 a year annually after she took her buyout. And when she took out her buyout back in 2003 or something like that, she ended up getting back like $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 from the government. And that's why her pension wasn't as high as John, because she took back like large amounts of money, like $10,000, $20,000, and then they brought her down to about $24,000 a year. So it wasn't like Joan was suffering. The problem with Joan was, though, she was a bulimic and she liked to, you know, eat and puke, right? And she never liked to pay her bills. She bankrupted herself. I could never figure it out, people. She bankrupted herself like 4 times. She tried to bankrupt me, right? You know, she already had bankrupt John before John moved into the house, and that was after he paid off all the bills with the car insurance money that he got when he got hit by a car. He got the money, then he paid off all Joan's bills and everything else, got them completely out of debt, and within a year and a half, she had racked up the bills again and was bankrupting him, and that is why, people, he ended up signing me on as the power of attorney, because she was bankrupting him. That's how this came about. He paid off the bills, right? He brought me back from Alberta. I stayed in their house for 3 weeks. My feet stuck to the floor because of all the cat urine and shit. Debbie didn't give a shit. Joan didn't give a shit. John was having a nervous breakdown. None of those brothers and sisters ever came around and helped John. After a year of me living in my little house, by the time I came in June, and by October, he was crying about, you know, you got to help me do something. I offered to get him an apartment. He was afraid to live by himself. He didn't want to do that, right? He was threatening to jump off a bridge because he was so depressed because of what was going on at home. He didn't know how to stop Joan with her overspending. He was going into debt again. And eventually he just said, help me get my own account. And that's what this happened. That's how it happened, people. That's how it fucking happened. He lived with her for as long as he could live with her. And then eventually he just had to move out. And we got into a fight within the first week. I threw him out, threw his clothes, sent him home in a taxi, and Joan sent him back to me the next day in a taxi. And he's been with me ever since. And then eventually Joan moves in 2009, right? Because she didn't want to go into an old folks home in Victoria and be completely abandoned by those people that professed to love Joan and John, as they destroyed John and his mind and his body. All for money.
Mom?
I'm busy. Come back.
Well, can I just get a smoke? Please?
Anyway, this is 3. I'm still on page 1. All the children's trust funds are to continue as is, as this is my gift to Brooks Chorney, Sierra Chorney, Marcaine Chorney, Shemaine Chorney, and Tisha Chorney. God bless you all. Any monies, cash in my personal bank accounts is to go to Judy Chorney. This cash is on hand, is to be used for anything that is required or needed for her and my wife, such as rent and bills, soon after the event of my death. In the event that Judy Chorney dies within a period of 30 days following my decease, I direct my executor, Jim Gerard, to follow the above instructions in clause B1, B3, and B4 to best suit my wife and Judy Chorney's children's needs. A. I also direct my executor, Jim Gerard, to use the cash legacy from the group life insurance plan from the British Columbia Building Corporation to be used to set up further trust funds for Brooks Chorney, Sierra Chorney, Marcaine Chorney, Shemay Chorney, and Tisha Chorney. The total amount for each trust is to be established by dividing a total amount of insurance by 5. Thus, each child will get an equal amount of monies in their trust fund. Each child shall have full access to their trust fund when the child in question turns 21 of age. You have to remember, people, Debbie stopped talking to him when she was 12 because she couldn't get horseback riding anymore. And Joan and Debbie used to pick on John. It was Joan and Debbie against John. B. In the event that one child or children should die before their trust funds matures, then that monies from that children's trust shall be divided equally among the remaining live children's and deposited into their trust funds. C. Should Judy Chorney and all her children die within 30 days of my death, then the total amount of monies from the insurance company shall then go to my wife. This includes all monies from the banks and pensions. If my wife does not survive 30 days after my death, then Debbie Duncan shall receive all monies from the insurance company, as well as from my pensions and bank accounts. 7. A word to my adopted daughter, Debbie. Your mother has looked after you well, as she is giving you all that she has. That is my gift to you, as I ask nothing from your mother. 1998. He did not ask if Joan left him anything, people. Because if Joan would have left him anything, he expected his family to do the right thing and tell him if that was the case. But he didn't assume that she left him something because he knew that her priority was Debbie. He never expected to get anything from Joan because he knew her priority was Debbie. And he sure in the hell didn't want anything from Joan because he knew her priority was Debbie. And it states it right there. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand this December 25th day of December 1998. Signed, published, and declared by the said testator, Bernard John Duncan, as and for his last will and testament, in the presence of us, both present at the same time, who at his request and in his presence and in the presence of each other have hereunto subscribed our names as witness. Ichabod S. Ball. Parminder, It's P-A-R, Parminder. We knew her as Pam, and Ichabod we knew as Wally. So Parminder K. Ball. And both of them lived in Delta. And their occupation were landlord and landlady. There's John's original signature, people. Do you see it? It's right there. And then here, witness, address, occupation. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand, this, okay, signed, published, same stuff, last will and testament in the presence of us, both present at the same time. So it's been signed twice. That's John's legal will, people. That is Uncle John's legal will, right along with Uncle John's legal signature of 25 years ago appointing me as enduring power of attorney in terms of being his representative in all aspects that needed to be done as the years went by. And being that his life insurance policy went out the door when he turned 65, and that once he died there would be no money left because that was the type of plan that he chose to take on, he never felt that he needed to do another will. We were satisfied with this one. That's why we never wrote another one. And because we had no problems for 25 years until the Duncan clan decided that they wanted to get money hungry and go looking for superannuation life insurance policies that didn't exist, and steal Joan's superannuation life insurance policy in terms of an inheritance that he never really wanted anyway, right? You know what I mean? It's just one big pile of shit now, right? As these lawyers, are playing games, right? And you are in violation of a direction of the court. If that's the case, why did that lawyer stand up there and lie to Master Bowden and say that what Justice Bowden, why did this lawyer for Fraser Health lie to Justin Bowden about what Master Taylor had requested? So, even though I can see it's a bold-faced lie, what he told Justice Bowden, and Justice Bowden took it for face value just because he didn't want to deal with the problem, or maybe because he was protecting the corruption, right? Didn't want to rock his pension plan, didn't want to be the judge to crack the nut, right? That's what I mean. It's all just crooked shit. It's all just crooked shit. The whole thing is fucking crooked. Crooked. You can't get any more crooked than this. So I have every right to file another lawsuit, people, only this time I'm not going to write 200 pages. I'll write 20. I'll write 20 pages. And then we'll see where those 20 pages get us. Right? Oh yeah, and before I go, this one here, right, February 17th, when that social worker from Britain, not even born in this country, came in on a visa, sat up there and hackled her way through this meeting with, first yesterday she's going into convalescent care, don't come with the kids, John doesn't want nobody there. We go on the meeting for the 17th as scheduled, and John says, no, I want the kids there. Why are you treating me like this? I haven't done anything wrong. I'm not a criminal. She's saying, oh no, you haven't done anything wrong. You just need to get stronger, John. You just have to have the best of both worlds. You're not going to convalescent care now. Now you're all of a sudden out of the blue. You're going to Victoria to go live at Shawnigan Lake there with your sister that you don't know from fucking Adam, just because your sister said she'll take you. And he's saying, well, no, I don't want to go. I want to go back from where I started from in terms of where I left off, in terms of he wants to come back home, right? And he's asking this social worker that, screeching, oh, Jenny, I'm going to take him out of here because, you're making her little threats and shit like that with another freaking nurse aide or whatever that came from Czechoslovakia that can't even speak proper English. It's all broken English. When you read it, you kind of wonder how the hell she even got into that job description. Well, the other one just sit there and grunt because she couldn't speak English at all. All she could do is, what the fuck, people? And these are the people that made the decision for John to go to Victoria to not even end up February, March, April, May, June, and by the middle of July, he had been injured, was sick for months, and lost his memory. And he never got better, people. He never got better. He was never allowed to see the kids. He was isolated as they moved him around with a fucking hammock in between drugging him. What happened to this? Oh, you need to get stronger, John. You need to get stronger, John. Yeah, no. They were ripping him off left, right, and center, people. Those social workers, those people, they appointed themselves representative. Within their mandate under the Mental Health Act and the Hospital Act and the Patient fucking Property Act and all these other acts, Guardianship Act, none of them are allowed to appoint themselves representative. But they did it anyway. So under duress, even though we had this, we knew we had it. Even though we knew we had this, we knew we had it. It wasn't something that we didn't know that we had. We knew, but they weren't taking it serious. They were playing me off like I was a fucking idiot that crawled out of the sewer, right? They were treating me less than garbage, basically. You could hear it in the freaking videos, people. So we did this one under duress, but we did it online, right? There's his signature, and I made him sign a few times, more than once, because I know what his signature looks like, okay? And even under duress, while they were medicating him, it's still not so bad. But I made sure he signed it. Tisha witnessed it, and the public is the witness to this one, because there's a video on this one. I, John B. Duncan, give the authority to make the decisions for me to Judy Chorney, even though we knew we already had it, people. There was no question about it. It was the social worker from Britain and Czechoslovakia or Germany or wherever the fuck she came from that didn't want to hear it. They wouldn't provide lawyers, even though, considering what they were doing, they were supposed to. Now, they didn't give him no information how to get a hold of a lawyer. Nothing. They just kept accusing him of being confused, that he didn't know what he wanted, and that the best place for him to do now was all of a sudden go to Shawnigan Lake and be with some sister he hadn't seen in 50 fucking years. Authority to make the decisions for me to Judy Chorney in the event that I cannot do it for myself. This would include the doing all financial and other legal matters pertaining to me, John Duncan, which I had already done for 25 years. Something that CIBC Bank failed to acknowledge when they got on board and then got involved with taking a bribe. Right? Because she bribed him. $500 a month, immediately into an RSP. Somehow, magically, his credit card got paid off within 6 months after it went into receivership, into a collection agency. First, Eleanor let it go into a collection agency, and then all of a sudden it fucking disappeared. $13,000 just gone. And more than likely, they banked a whole lot more money from whatever Joan left them. That, again, they didn't tell him about for 13 months until they finally got him fucking transported over to Victoria, and he was in between coming out of his stupor, and he'd wake up for a few minutes. They'd tell him something, he'd probably sign something, they'd give him more pills, and he'd pass back out. This is what we're talking about, people. I want to live. This would include the doing all financial and other legal matters pertaining to me, John Duncan. I want to live with my family, his family, who he helped raise. Okay, he helped raise all the kids, people. Judy Chorney, Marcaine Chorney, Sierra Chorney, and if you listen to any videos where he's talking, he made oftentimes reference to Marcaine. He really looked up to Marcaine. He wanted Marcaine to do the things that these people wanted strangers to do for him. Because Marcaine was there for him. Marcaine helped him with things. Marcaine has always been there for him. My kids have always been there for him, people. Marcaine Chorney, Sierra Chorney, Shemaine Chorney, Tisha Chorney, Brooks Chorney, and Andre Chorney. If I should go to a care facility, I appoint Judy Chorney to receive all written, faxed, and or other electronic mail regarding my persons and all medical issues. Judy Chorney has the right to access all files regarding me so that I have someone speaking on my behalf outside of the medical profession. Eleanor Gilding was at conflict of interest for the simple fact was she's a senior union staff member who knew how to play dirty pool because she's already done it before multiple times within her own work environments, as she snatches a body here, snatches a body there, and snatches a body there. That's why she got so good at it and got away with John. All she had to go in and, like I said, did she bribe them? Did she threaten them? What did she do to get her own way, people? Why was it so easy for Eleanor to do what Eleanor did? Because she works within the medical profession, right? Birds of a feather flock together. That's why he wanted somebody independent. He trusted me, people. And or from my extended family in Victoria, BC. He didn't want his extended family in Victoria talking or on his behalf. Because they didn't know him. They knew of him. They called him a brother, but they didn't treat him like a brother. And then signed and witnessed. So, now that the real will is out there, when I go to court, whoever I stand in front of that person that day, I'm going to let them know that the blood of Uncle John is on Justin Bowden's hands, and that the next judge or masters or whoever I'm facing with the dragon lawyer beside me, I'm going to see if he'll be brave enough to read this. Right along with this. Now that John is dead.